So I recently just wrapped on this year's biggest event so far on the calendar, Revolution 2023.
We just wrapped Revolution 2023. I'm talking 1,000 students and 150 state legislators all learning how to make liberty win.
No one should ever lose their life on a war in which Congress did not vote to declare war.
We have to remind these politicians that if you fail to uphold your oath to the Constitution, we will primary you and we will win.
USA! USA! We will not reform them. We will get in there and shut them down.
So when it comes to events like this, as mentioned, this was a 3-day event with YOW in Orlando, Florida. And one thing you have to take in consideration when actually documenting an event like this is going to be on day one, getting B-roll of the venue being empty, also getting in the check-in area and getting as much branding as possible when it comes to this particular event. So whether it be signs, whether it be people registering, whether it be people getting t-shirts, on that first day, that's going to be one of the most valuable things you can do is get as much kind of check-in footage and branding footage as possible. Also, a lot of times you're going to find is this is when you're going to get the most foot traffic in regard to that particular check-in booth. And you guys can see in this particular video where I'm going handheld, getting that footage with the Lumix S5 IIX, and behind the camera as well documenting is Trey Lowell. Now he's shooting a little bit of footage of me, as you guys can see.
All right, Trey. So what's your setup here?
Setup right now, we got the Z9 on the Ronin S. I'm gonna upgrade soon. The RS3 Pro coming in hot. But I have this handle. I don't know what it's called, but it gives me an extra grip here just because it's a little too wobbly. So we got that. An arm for the monitor. I'm running a Shinobi on it. Super, super great monitor.
So once you've gotten your kind of check-in footage, things of branding sort, one thing that we like to do is then go move into the venue space and start kind of strategizing in regards to the opening shot.
So you'll be starting, I would say, whenever he gets, you should just kind of be here. Here.
Well,
And think about this, I'm sure these graphics will even be different. Oh, slap in hand, slap in hand. I would love for you to be going all the way up. So maybe like, I think you got to stop somewhere around in here though.
Now, once we got our shot out of the way in regards to the opening shot, one of the requests for that particular night was going to be documenting one particular speech. And they wanted it from beginning to end because it was going to be used as an item in the future. And so what we did to tackle that is we had the S5 in my hand, S5 IIX, and we also had Che with the Z9 on the gimbal, and then at the back of the room we had the GH5 with the 70 to 200 f4 with full zoom so we could get nice and tight on our actual person that was giving the speech. And that's how we were able to tackle that particular request. Now, once the event starts, this is where one of the requests, we're getting plenty of crowd shots and also getting footage of each speaker. And to do that, a lot of times what we end up doing is one person is always going to be on the crowd while the other one is either going to be going on stage or is going to be off stage getting that particular speaker, getting the footage that we need, whether it be 60 frames, whether it be slow-mo. And that's how we're able to tackle that particular request. It's particularly just being set up where each person is dedicated to a different style of shooting, whether it be crowd or whether it be B-roll of speaker. Now, once we've gotten that opening shot of the person coming onto stage, typically what we then do is Che and I kind of make our rounds, getting tight shots, getting wide shots, getting gimbal shots going around the whole venue, getting just typically what we found, spending about 5 minutes in regards to each person's speech, getting footage of them that would suffice what we needed for that particular speaker. Now, some speakers we spent longer, some speakers we spent a little bit less, but you kind of get the vibe of it was a step and repeat of both he and I go and get as much B-roll as we can of each speaker, and then boom, we go back to the computer and we kind of can relax and check out our footage. That way, if we kind of goofed up, we know we can go back before the end of the speech and get what we needed.
It's day 2. At this point, I would say we're about 2/3 of the way done with the Rev 2023 project. Now, one thing that's been interesting and that you've pretty much already seen at this point is we are here documenting an event. And of course, we're here to get speakers, we're here to get crowd shots, we're here to get interviews, we're here to get B-roll. and basically give someone that wasn't here attending the event a full kind of opportunity to get somewhat of that experience in regards through watching the video. Now, one thing that I've kind of found, both Trey and I, is we've kind of gone with the approach of we're shooting gimbal shots, we're shooting handheld, we're shooting 24 frames per second, we're shooting it with 4K 60. And reason being behind this is really it just gives us a diverse amount of different kind of shots and frame rates to work with when it comes into post-production. Whether it be speed ramping, whether it actually be doing slow motion. When we kind of take that approach, I think it gives us more of a fighting chance in regards to being able to deliver the final product. As we move into day 3, I am getting a little bit more excited in regards to I have looked at some of the footage. It's starting to come together nicely, color grading's looking good. And so some of the edge is starting to be taken off little by little as we get a little bit closer to the end of this event.
Now, one request that we kind of had when it comes to Rev 2023 is doing interviews on the fly. Now, one thing that we came to find, whether it was day 1, day 2, or day 3, is being ready to go on the fly is going to be super useful, which is why I kind of had my dome light with V-mount power on, whether it be the C-stand or a quick lighting stand. That way I could quickly, whether it be out in the hall, whether it be in the green room, whether it be off the kind of actual site of where we were filming, we were kind of ready to go. And of course we had our tripods placed in our little kind of video station. That way it was a quick way of, if we were texted or if we were called for an interview, we were able to rock and roll pretty much at the drop of a hat. Now, as mentioned, we had the main space, but also we had a breakout room. Now, the one thing that you will find with an event like this is when there is something going on in the breakout space, then you're going to actually not have anything in the main room. So a lot of times we would make our way down to the breakout room a little bit beforehand, before the breakouts would start. We would get cameras set up for time lapse, whether it be at the front or the back. We were also getting footage of the speakers and some of the branding when it came to the breakout rooms. And then also Trey, for the most part, would spend a good couple of minutes of getting footage of each speaker for each breakout session. Kind of trying to diversify the shots, but make them look good, make sure we documented everyone. And that was another dynamic that we had to kind of factor in. And one thing I highly advise, if you can have some sort of running schedule out and ready to go at all times, it's a huge advantage for you and your team. One advantage that we have with Rev 2023 is that they also have JRP Live, which is a production company that is also using their cameras to kind of broadcast the actual live event on screens that are at the venue space. So they are also recording internally the audio and video of the full run of show, and that's one thing you will see in the shots where I'm collecting the full run of show footage from Gabe, their kind of lead guy there. When it comes to each day, we make sure to, at the end of the day, get the full run of show, which is that full audio and full video. Now, it's in 1080p, but it's one little thing that I actually like to use in the edit is to make them use that file as kind of the main audio and then sync all my footage and all of Trey's footage to that audio file and that video file. And then when I'm kind of going through my timeline, I'm just looking at my files, trying to find my best, but I have their audio. So some of you are going to have the luxury of that for these bigger events where that's going to be something you can probably take over from a production company. But in the past, if I have not had that luxury, I usually try to dedicate one camera to a full run of show, and I use my Zooms. I usually use like a Zoom H6 to get some full run of show audio. So you need to take that in consideration. Having a full run of show source is an absolute must, but in this particular environment for this event, it's a little bit easier for me because the JRP Get Live guys cover it, and then I'm able just to use their audio. Now, you guys have gotten a chance to see Trey and I in action over the few days there, and one thing when it comes to interviews and things of that nature, it's something that I figured out over the years. It's saving interviews till as far or till the end of an event as possible. So if your event was a one-day event, do the interviews at the event at the end of the event. Reason being is a lot of times when you interview people, if you ask them about the event and it's only day 1 or it's day 2, they don't really have a whole concept of what they got out of that event. So it's something to take into consideration, and it's a strategy that I use when filming, particularly Rev, is that on day 3 is when all the interviews are being conducted. Now, we interviewed their president and CEO, we interviewed their chief of staff, we interviewed a couple of the actual attendees, and you're seeing some of the footage of the way we approached that. And I think that just helps with when you're in the editing process for the recap. If you have someone talking about the event, where they are, who the speakers are, what are the goals of the event, what is the takeaway from it, and then you kind of disperse it in with some of the other interviews, I think it makes for a nice driver. All right, so believe it or not, that's officially a wrap here. And we've got the old faithful little cart that just, the little engine that could, oof, we are way underexposed. But we've been spending, I don't know, been here for roughly the past 3 days. We're done. Pretty happy with the results. Che did incredible. We worked hard. I think we're gonna be making some good money here. And I think bottom line, the client's gonna be really happy with what we came up with. Beautiful shots, gimbal shots, slow-mo shots, 24 frame shots. You name it, we pretty much did it. And I'm very happy with it. And this is pretty much, I think this should be the ending of my video. I was gonna do it where like cart walked past camera, boom, that's the end, but I don't know. I don't really get opportunities to be in elevators too much anymore. So here we go. Rev 2023, you were good to me. I'm out.